Hello, my name is Matthew, and I just read the Reigate puzzle by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is a part of my read along series and buddy club with Steve Donahue. We're reading murder mysteries in the month of March, and we're reading all of the Sherlock Holmes short stories. And I've read quite a few by now, and there are a couple things that I've been noticing reading these short stories so quickly. We have different storylines going on and different aspects um, when we think about the short stories and the cases of Sherlock Holmes as a whole. And so we have the tale of the week, the mystery of the week. Each short story has some individual crime or point of curiosity. We also have the relationship between Watson and Sherlock, and each story adds to their chemistry and um, to their friendship. And there's an aspect to this that was just an ingenious decision on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's part, which was to not have these stories be strictly chronological uh, or in any sort of order. We're skipping around. Things are happening in the present, things are happening in the past. We're told there's been other cases that have not been recorded for various reasons. We've now had several more experimental stories where um, Sherlock, we see Sherlock's first case or Sherlock's case when he was very young. We see him when he's very experienced and famous and working with kings. And this story takes a direction that, at this point, as a modern reader, seems to be um, a trite decision, but it works really well in this short story. It's the oh, I forget because I'm reading them so quickly. The Reigate puzzle, and so uh, we get the intro that Sherlock Holmes is sick. He's been um, just mentally and physically exhausted after solving a case, an incredible case that we don't hear about, where the complete collection of police forces from 3 or 5 countries trying to solve some magnificent, enormous crime, some mysterious crime that we don't hear about. Some crime has transpired, and the work of several countries combined couldn't solve it. And Sherlock, working a month straight, 20-hour days, working 15-hour days, no breaks, just fully immersed in a case. And he comes out on top to the detriment of his physical well being. And we find him at the end of this case. He's sick and laid up, and Watson has to go and find him. Watson is a doctor and his good friend. And says, we need to take you on vacation. We need to have a holiday where you can go and just get your rest. And so I think about poor Perot, who's always trying to go on vacation, and there's these just annoying murders that are always happening around him, ruining his holiday. And so we have a story like that, where it's Sherlock Holmes, not at the height of his powers, but sick and nervous and exhausted, and going off to a location to have a spa treatment and relax. And of course, that means that there's going to be mystery and intrigue, So a different experimental setup where we are coming at these Holmes stories from a different perspective. At this point, this is a story that's worn out, but at the time, I'm sure it was still fresh. And reading it now, even though it's a story that could seem labored, um, in the hands of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, is still quite fresh. And so Watson has Sherlock staying out in the country with a friend of his in a very nice manor, country English country house, and there's a report that one of the neighboring houses had a burglary that night, and it gets Holmes's attention. Now you have to get your rest. It's below, after solving this big crime, this big mystery, something as trivial as this is below the cause of your attention. And then the next day, something else happens, and they go, oh no, another burglary, and they go, no, a murder. And so now for Sherlock, the case is afoot, and he's it's an aspect of these short stories that is so memorable to me, and yet I haven't seen it quite yet, and I imagine it might be a turning point in these short stories. And so we now get Sherlock becoming excited and eccentric and bizarre and being theatrical in front of uh, Andy moved in front of spectators, the witnesses, potential culprits, suspicious characters, and Sherlock being this grand detective where people are watching him with incredulity and very much doubting the reputation that he has garnered for himself. And so he's springing into action. He's having fainting fits. People have to carry him into a room. And all the while, of course, everything that he's doing is methodical. And even though it seems crazy to the people that are watching and outlandish, and a very simple explanation is that he's still nervous and exhausted. He's cracking this case, and there was a burglary in one house, and then a murder in another house. The victim had a torn piece of a document in his hand that had scribblings on it, and there's a point where they bring up something or other, and Sherlock has this fainting fit. He gets brought into the fainting lounge, the fainting chair. They're left alone, and there's like a bowl of fruit, and he knocks it over and blames Watson, and he runs into another room. The culprits find him there. They're strangling Sherlock and twisting his wrist. Everyone else runs into the room, and after everybody's caught, he pulls out the manuscript. People go, "Dear God, where did you find the other ripped, torn piece of the document that was missing?" And Sherlock says, "Well, all of this is very clear, and it's very easy to tell what happened because of this thing and that thing." And again, we have Sherlock going through this detective work. We have a new aspect. We have two new aspects of Sherlock. One is him getting over a nervous exhaustion. And then we also have a new element of a much more extreme expression of theatricality and dramatic action. He's acting eccentric and bizarre in front of these people, the players of the story, in a way where everyone's scratching the head thinking, scratching their heads thinking, this person must surely be mad. There's no way that he's making any headway on the case. And we've seen that building up through these stories. People seeing that this is not an official detective or lieutenant. He has different ways of solving crimes, but there's an escalation. There's a buildup of the Sherlock character. It's adding to his character. It's the earlier stories were much more nuanced and composed. We had him lounging around, deep in thought. It was a three-pipe problem, and more Sherlock starts to be running around, doing things that are inexplicable to anyone that isn't Sherlock. So, and then everything gets resolved because Sherlock figures it out. It's the Reigate puzzle by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, a Sherlock Holmes short story. If you've read it, please let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and take care.